I planted this garden just a few weeks ago, and there's grass under here, and I didn't have to dig up any of the grass. And I've got Swiss chard, some cabbage, Brussels sprouts, beets, and I've already harvested the Swiss chard yesterday. Had it for dinner, it was delicious. And I can't wait to get more in here and get this garden even bigger. Oh, there's a ladybug. I think that's supposed to be good luck, isn't it? If I can build a garden like this, anybody can, because I really don't have much experience at all. What I have is from years ago when I had my other house, and my husband built me a raised bed, and that was a good garden, but I think I had it for only 1 or 2 seasons. This time, because of all this slope that we have, I had thought about having a garden for years, because we have grass up here. This was all landscape when we moved in almost 20 years ago. Nobody ever utilized this space, really. Nobody came up here much. And it was just wasted grass that we were watering. But finally, when I found out about this no-dig gardening, and then I started looking into it and looked at Charles Dowding's YouTube videos and his website, I figured I can do this because I didn't have to dig up this grass. Not only do we have grass, but the area we live in, because it goes uphill like this, it's built on rock, lots of boulders and rock. And when my husband's had to do some work in the yard, you're just hitting big rocks and big boulders. So I did not want to be digging up grass, getting rid of that soil somewhere, and then also having to bring in new soil. So this is perfect. When you watch his videos or check out his website, the instructions are laid out there for you. And so I just followed what he did. A lot of times I screwed up and didn't do it according to what he suggested. And I realized after the fact. I did measure. I wanted it to be 4 by 5 feet. 4 feet wide so that I could reach into the center of the vegetable patch from both sides. And then I thought, well, I can do 5 feet. I ended up getting, I think it was 40-liter bags of organic steer manure that was 2 years old from a local farm here. And then I got some wood chips. And basically, if I would have followed his example of putting some beams, some wooden borders around just while I was building it, would have made it a bit easier. But that's okay. I didn't have those, so I didn't use that. It was a lot of work carrying everything up here, and of course I chose the hottest day of the year to do that after work. So I was sweating. It was a great workout. I did this in a few evenings after work. And after carrying it all up here, poured out all the soil and the manure and the wood chips around, and then the next day I planted. Yeah, that was a lot of work to bring all those bags of compost up the side of the house, up the stairs, then onto the patio. That's why I had to do it in stages. Then bring it up here, then up these steep stairs, and here. But measuring it out, he really makes a point of taking your time and doing the cardboard part well. I ended up not using the cardboard in a single sheet. I ended up leaving, it was like flattened boxes. So I could have had a lot more. I was worried at one point that I wouldn't have any more cardboard to do this. I realized later on, and I pulled out some of the sheets of cardboard and flattened them out into single sheets, because you want that 1 foot border around so that you can prevent light from getting at the grass so the grass dies off. And then I didn't have quite enough when I had used it the way I had. But I fixed it, did it, and then ended up putting the compost and the wood chips around, and it worked out really well. There's certain things he talks about, and if you're interested in doing this, he does have a calculator, so you have to figure out how big you want your garden to be. Then he's got a calculator on his website where you can plunk in the numbers. It tells you how much compost you'll need, and that's what I used. I will link his website and his YouTube channel in the description. I don't know, it kind of stinks when I open up the bag. So I thought 2-year-old compost manure isn't supposed to stink, but I have a feeling 6 bags is enough, because I'm supposed to be doing 4 feet by 5 feet. 4 feet so that it's easy to reach into the middle or into the whole, the center of the patch from either side, and then I was going to do 5 feet long. So I'm going to have to get some more cardboard because you want a foot around because this is grass, so a foot around. And I'm going to put cardboard a foot around the garden and then put wood chips on it. So I'm still going to need some more cardboard here, layered it so there's no cracks and light can get through. But anyway, I'm sure I've got enough here for what I want to do anyways. It's a trial, and if it works out, then I can add more and fill this whole top layer up with vegetable garden. Yay! This was so simple except for the heavy lifting. This is such an easy way to do it, and if you've got a piece of land like I do where it's grass and difficult soil to dig up, then this is perfect, because then you're leaving the earth unharmed, and you're just putting compost on top of it. It's more sustainable. Once I had all the compost down, he showed in some of his videos that you want to break up big clumps. So I used that rake and I kind of tried to spread it out even thickness, and it would have been easier with some borders, but I didn't have that. And then I tried to break up some of those big chunks also. And then it was just the wood chips around. So I was hoping to cover up all the cardboard. It still shows, but I don't care because I really am going to make this bigger because it did so well. I built a garden up here on the grass. That's where I'm planting it. And then I can expand it to fill it. I wished I'd had some people, it's called no-dig gardening. Some people, you can put like just beams, pieces of wood. No, go downstairs. Go down. I bought some plants that were already seedlings. Is that what they're called? See, I don't know anything about gardening. I'm learning as I go. They're called, well, they were already little plants. They weren't seeds. And so I planted those. So I planted some Brussels sprouts, some cabbage, some beets, and also Swiss chard. And they have grown really well. I also put some seeds down for a few things, lettuce and that. I don't know if any of these will work, but this is some kale. I put some carrots in there. I'll just put a little bit of kale. Who knows? And a little bit of tiny parsley. So obviously I don't know what I'm doing, and these seeds probably that I sprinkled in that little patch of compost may or may not do anything, but we'll see. It's just a trial and a test because it is fall almost after all. This coming week is supposed to be super hot and sunny, so we will see what happens with this garden of mine. One day I dried out the compost because I didn't think it needed watering. I didn't touch it because it looks so dark. I thought it was wet, and it wasn't. So seeds cannot get dry or else they won't continue to germinate. I imagine that's the case because none of them have kind of popped up, and I think they would have by now. But other than that, I'm able to water this. They've grown really well, and I've already harvested some of my Swiss chard and had it in something that I made the other night, curry. At the outside leaves, so that would be one. Oh, there's another ladybug. I think go on to one of these other ones. I didn't know. Maybe Swiss chard attracts ladybugs. So this is actually my second harvesting. Wow, call it harvesting. So I'm just grabbing the outside leaves, and apparently the inside portions keep growing out. I also want to put a greenhouse. I want to put a greenhouse just over, I'm not actually sure where, maybe in the corner over there for next spring so I can start my own seeds. And I'm looking at some greenhouses, and I'll put some of the links that I'm thinking of. Mine's going to be tiny, but just enough to be able to plant the seeds and let them be safe so that they can start sprouting, and then I can plant those. Definitely, if you have a piece of land that you're not using and you've been thinking about trying a garden for a while, why don't you try this? Let me know in the comments if any of you are interested in doing this, because I think it's great to be able to, you know, pick the food that you're going to cook yourself, and I think that's fun, and it actually gives you a bit of a thrill. So, and if you want to do the no dig like I did. I heard it referred to as the lazy man's gardening in one video. I don't think it is. You still have to do some work, but I think it's more earth friendly. But I can't wait for next spring. I can't wait to get a greenhouse, even if it's tiny. I think right here is where I will put the greenhouse. So what do I have here? I have about 2 rows of beets. Then I've got some Swiss chard in a row here. And I've got some cabbage in the front, and at the very back over there I've got Brussels sprouts. I've never grown Brussels sprouts, so I'm interested in if those will do anything at all. And it is the end of August now, so I'm not sure what will happen. I'd say that's pretty good for the second harvesting when I only planted these guys a few weeks ago.